Hey fam, I want you to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications. The Boston Red Sox, they won the World Series last year. And like winners, they have been invited to the White House to meet with President Donald Trump. But their manager, Alex Cora, he says he's not going to attend. In fact, a number of black and Latino ball players have made it clear that they are not going to be attending as well. Yet, who will be attending? White ball players of the Boston Red Sox. In fact, that was a tweet that was sent out that was interesting, where this reporter tweeted that what he said was, looks like the White Sox are the only people who are going. And David Price, African-American, was a pitcher for the Boston Red Sox. He retweeted that, and he said that he felt that more than 38,000 people should have given a chance to see that tweet. He then backtracked by saying he felt it was insensitive. But I don't think David Price believing it was insensitive. I think David Price was on point there. I want to go to my panel right now, and I want to start with you, Mustafa. Here's what's interesting. Again, and we've seen this in the NFL as well, where black ball players out there speaking to issues, and all of a sudden you're like, where are the white ball players? And then, of course, you had Chris Long and a few other players who actually spoke up, and you see this racial divide. In fact, Jamel Hill has a piece in The Atlantic talking about that, where she says it's wrong to keep asking the black and Latino ball players, are they going to visit the White House? She says what they should be doing is going to the white ball players and saying, why aren't y'all standing with your black and Latino ball players? Mustafa, your thoughts?
I agree with her 100%. It's time for white brothers and sisters to stand in solidarity with others, who are pushing back against these injustices that they see. And, it's an interesting dynamic. Sometimes when I'm out across the country speaking and stuff, and people will ask me about racism, how do we stop racism? And I'm very honest with them. I say that white brothers and sisters are the ones who can help to stop racism, because that's where the root of it comes from. So if you are not willing to invest, if you're not willing to stand up and say that these injustices are happening and that I do not support them, then you're kind of connected to it if you're not willing to, stand up and push back against these types of things. So I agree with our sister 100%. And it's actually time. You can't have brothers like LeBron being out there by themselves, or Seth Curry, or a number of the others who are out there. It's time for folks to actually, let's take account of people who actually want to make a change against racism.
Dr. Carter, a month ago, Kyle Korver, of course, white guard in the NBA, published this essay in the Players Tribune, which was called "Privileged." And this is what he wrote. He said, "When the police break your teammate's leg, you'd think it would wake you up a little. When they arrest him on a New York street, throw him in jail for the night, and leave him with a season-ending injury, you would think it would sink in. You would think you would know there was more to the story. You'd think, but nope." He writes, "I still remember my reaction when I first heard what happened to Thabo. It was 2015, late in the season. Thabo and I were teammates on the Atlanta Hawks, and we'd flown into New York late after a game in Atlanta. When I woke up the next morning, our team group text was going nuts. Details were still hazy, but guys were saying Thabo hurt his leg. During an arrest? Wait, he spent the night in jail? Everyone was pretty upset and confused. Well, almost everyone. My response was different. I'm embarrassed to admit it." And this got lots of attention. Of course, white conservatives were really criticizing Kyle Korver. But Dr. Carter, what he lays out is a perfect example. Here he is with a black teammate who had his leg was broken by NYPD. He was not in the wrong. And this white ball player pretty much ain't my problem. That speaks to the same thing with these white ball players who are very easy. Oh, no, we're going to go to the White House with Trump, not speaking out against the bigotry of Donald Trump.
Well, and I mean, I think this is just a microcosm of the larger world we live in, where you see people of color, black folks, Latino folks, Native Americans on the front lines of all kinds of social justice movements, and then having to kind of pull white folks along if they're willing to be led that way. And I think, you know, this is one of those moments, as Mustafa rightly pointed out, where you have to kind of let white people do this work in their own communities and speak back to these team owners. Where was the concern for Thabo? I mean, his career could have been over. I mean, when you make your money with your body, that could be devastating. And it was, certainly. But I think, you know, more than that, I think this speaks to the larger societal issues that we have, where whites see their cause as very separate from the cause of black people and the cause of others. And it's not to say all white people at all times. At the same time, black people and Latino folks and others can't be the only ones with skin in the game. We can't be the only ones losing things, putting endorsements on the line, or just putting our real freedoms on the line. As you rightly point out, I mean, people are going out here protesting and being arrested and having their lives upended, trying to do the right thing and trying to seek justice for the most of us, right? And so it's sort of one of these things where, you know, you want to say to others like Cora, you know, getting the benefits with none of the burdens isn't the way to build a team. And if we really mean that we are a team and that we're, you know, all for one and one for all, it can't just be on the court. It also has to be off the court, because ultimately what hurts my teammate, what hurts my fellow citizen, also hurts me. And I don't think that ethos has sort of seeped out in the larger society. And so we shouldn't expect to see it in the NFL, the MLB, the NBA, or any other place where these kind of injustices are replicated, because they're institutional and they're endemic to the country that we live in. And if it's looked like racism is only a black problem, then of course nobody else feels like they need to do any work.
Kelly, one of the things that when we think about the history of this country, you go back to the 60s, there's a black freedom movement, when you had white students who went down south, and you often had black activists who took offense by saying, look, if anything happens to any one of these white kids, the FBI is going to swoop down here in a heartbeat, and they don't give a damn about any of us. When we also think about what happens today, I mean, I've heard numerous African Americans actually say this, and that is, when something happens to somebody white, now all of a sudden we can now get some attention to a cause. And I think I think back to also Malcolm X. He wrote in his autobiography of Malcolm X, where he talked about a white student, I believe, was at Harvard or one of the Ivy League schools, came up to him and asked him, how could I help you with your cause? And Malcolm X said nothing and walked away. Later, he wrote that he said he wishes he had told her, look, I don't need you helping black folks. I need you going back to your white enclaves and dealing with them when it comes to race. It's the same thing, I think, with these ball players. And we now know that even when it came to Colin Kaepernick, Baltimore Ravens talked about it. You had many of these white conservative ball players who were pissed off, and they did exactly what Cora did. Cora writes that his first thought was, quote, what was Thabo doing out at a club on a back-to-back? Not how is he doing, not what happened during the arrest, why was he out? The white ball players said the same thing. Why can't you guys just comply? That's how white folks think when things happen to black people. Not what did they do wrong? Essentially, hey, black person, what the hell were you doing? Kelly.
I think that it's a situation where, especially now, racism has never been our burden, but it has been burdensome to us. And now we are in a dynamic where we can actually say, hey, this is not our burden to bear. This is your responsibility to fix, or rather, at least share the responsibility in fixing it at this point, especially in sports world, because you have so many ethnicities, so many races actually working together for the sake of the team. But when it comes to things outside of the team, that's when everybody's isolated. That's when everybody is their own person. Everybody's an individual. You need to take that teamwork outside of the sport itself and actually get something done beneficial to the whole. But in this case, people of color, black people, because it's burdensome to us, but again, it's not our burden to actually fix.
Roland Martin Unfiltered, be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.